Cześć, witajcie w podcaście EduCat. Dzisiaj bierzemy na tapetę studia w Holandii. Today here with me is Erna Balk from Windesheim University of Applied Sciences. Erna, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, dzień dobry.
Your Polish is better than my Dutch, I have to say.
Thank you.
So we're here to talk a little bit about studies in the Netherlands. We're here to talk a little bit about studies at Windesheim University of Applied Sciences. Let's start off with a little bit more of a general overview.
Mm-hmm.
The Netherlands has been constantly rising in popularity among Polish students, not just Polish students, but let's focus on Poland for today, in recent years. Why is that, do you think? What does the Netherlands offer as a place to study? Why is it such a popular study destination at the moment?
Yes, well, there are quite a few reasons for that. First of all, you get value for money. The universities in the Netherlands offer very high quality education. All of our research universities you can find in the international rankings. There is no bad university. And besides that, money-wise, it's very interesting because the tuition fees are very low. Our government invests a lot in our universities, so the tuition fees for Dutch and also Polish and European students are very low. So you get value for money. That is one reason. Another reason is that there is a good job market. Some of the students want to stay in the Netherlands after graduation, and it's relatively easy to find a job. There is a huge demand for graduated students. Another reason is that the way of teaching in the Netherlands is very popular. We have an interactive teaching style. It is not the professor in front of the room sending messages and sending theory, but is a lot of discussion and debate and questioning and answer. And that way of teaching is interactive and very popular among students also from abroad and from all over the world.
So it's focused a lot on case studies. There's a lot of practical work to it.
Exactly. Yeah. It is not theory from the books, but it are issues which are important in society, problems, and from there we teach and we find the theory. Another reason why the Netherlands is popular is that we have approximately 2,000 programs in English in all our universities. And it's easy to connect. Almost everyone in the Netherlands speaks English. So you don't have to be afraid that you will get in trouble because you don't understand the language. And just maybe nice to know, the Netherlands is one of the happiest and safest countries.
It is, and if we're talking about funny statistics, I know for a fact that in the Netherlands there are more bicycles than people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've also 2 bikes myself. Yes, absolutely.
The bike is your best friend by all means. And, just to follow up on what you were saying about the English language, how there is no language barrier. You don't need to speak Dutch or German or any other language. I studied in the Netherlands in down south of the country. And before I came to the Netherlands, I had this, I thought, good idea that I will learn Dutch. So, before coming, I had a couple of words, good morning, good afternoon, can I have a receipt and everything else. And I remember this very well. It was my first week in the country. I went to a shop, went to a restaurant, went to the municipality office, and I tried to answer in Dutch, of course, in a horrible accent. So everybody was looking at me as if I've fallen off Mars, as if I'm completely crazy. And everybody answered in English.
Of course, that's how it works. That's how it works. When people recognize that you're not from the Netherlands, they immediately start to talk in English. And that even makes it more difficult for you to learn our language.
Yeah, and trust me, with me, it was very easy to see I'm not from the Netherlands with my terrible accent. I mentioned at the beginning you are from Windesheim University of Applied Sciences. Now, to our Polish viewers, this might seem interesting. This might seem as a new term because we in Poland do not necessarily have the concept of a University of Applied Sciences. So let's just break it down a little bit. In the Netherlands, we have typical art schools. We have technical universities, 2 technical universities focus on engineering programs.
3, actually.
Or 3, actually.
3 even, yeah.
Okay, 3. Then I need to update my knowledge. And we also have research universities, of course, and the said University of Applied Sciences. In a nutshell, what would you say are the main differences between University of Applied Sciences and a research university? And in a sense, what are the advantages of a University of Applied Sciences?
Yeah, well, the big difference is how we educate. When you go to a research university, they are more similar to the universities you have here in Poland. Research universities provide academic education, and it's already in the name. They do a lot of academic research. That's, by the way, also the reason why you will find those universities in the international rankings, because the international rankings are based on research, not on education, but on research. The applied sciences universities, they offer higher professional education, and we do a little bit of research. Research is not the main part, so we focus on education. That is a difference. It's also research universities are more theoretical. It's more studying. You can be also in big groups, big lecture halls with maybe 200 students, whereas at applied sciences universities, we are more practice oriented. It's not only theory, it's also practice. You do workshops, you do internships. Study abroad is often included. There are guest lectures from companies. So it's more hands-on, more practice oriented. You also will be in smaller classes of, let's say, maximum 30 students. So it is more structured. There is more guidance. That are mainly the differences, I think. So if you are more a thinker and you want to study in depth a typical topic, then maybe you should go to a research university.
Right.
But when you're more hands-on, when you're more a doer, when you like to have a bit more guidance in a different country, then maybe an applied sciences university is better for you. So advantages, I would say, is the practice, the internships, the projects, because when you graduate, it's also on your CV. You already have the practical experience, and therefore it makes it easier for you to find a job.
So you essentially have a little bit of an advantage over students who don't have an internship, don't have that job experience, because we live in a labor market which I think is very dynamic today. It's a very fast-paced environment where things are changing quickly, and I think employers are looking for people for graduates who have some sort of experience, who have some theoretical knowledge, yes, of course, but theoretical knowledge which is backed up by practical experiences, by experience in the workplace already. I think that is absolutely essential.
Yeah, it's essential. And what is also nice is you are also used to work in teams. In real life, when you work for a company, you have to work in a team. And at applied sciences universities, working in teams is key. You do it from the first day onwards. When you work on a project, you do that with a team, and you will experience that the first time that you do it, it is not really easy, because maybe you are ambitious and maybe I'm a bit lazy, and then that doesn't work. But our lecturers help you how to deal with that and how to make a team work. So the first group project is always a little bit difficult. But in the end, after you graduate, you have a great experience and advantage because you are used to work in teams.
I can definitely attest to our viewers that teamwork is a skill that you need to learn and foster, especially if you have a team. I mean, you mentioned one example when you have one high achiever and one person who spends a little bit less time and less effort. But I think it's equally difficult when you have a team made of 4 and all 4 individuals are very strong leaders and every single individual wants to be a leader. So I think it's a really big skill on seeing how to make that work, and I think, you know, as a former student of a Dutch university, I can definitely say that it is a major element in the education system, where soft skills play an important role, right? So
Absolutely.
It's not just the theory; it's the soft skills, the practical elements.
Yes, I forgot to tell about it, but soft skills are an important part of the education at applied sciences universities.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the overview. Let's now dive more into the details. You mentioned that in the Netherlands as a whole, there are 2,000 more or less programs in English. Windesheim also has a couple of programs in English. What are they, and how would you summarize them very briefly?
Well, the most popular programs are, first, we have international business. That is a very popular program all over in the Netherlands, I would say. But they are all a little bit different. Our program is very broad. It includes 4 main topics: finance and accounting, marketing and sales, organization and people, and supply chain management. So it's very broad. We want all the students to have a very broad basis. And then later on in the program, the students specialize and they choose one of the 4 topics. Or maybe they think, okay, I come here and marketing is really my thing. And then they discover, oh no, this is not really my thing. I'm much more interested in logistics. So we give them a broad basics and then they specialize. So it's a broad business program. By the way, in this program, we also teach the students about our Dutch culture and language, which is very nice.
So there is this element of integration into the Dutch culture, into the local customs, into the language as well, which is great, I think.
Exactly. And because in this program, students also do an internship in the Netherlands, in the area of Zwolle. And then when you speak the basics of our language, it's always nice to understand it. So that is international business. We have another, I would say, very special program, a program for students who care about the planet and want to make a change. It's a program around topics like climate change, global warming, eradicating hunger and disease, students who are interested or want to fight for equal rights, clean oceans, clean energy. So students who want to make the world a better place to live in, they might be very interested in this program. It is a bachelor in business administration, so students also learn the business skills like marketing and finance, but it's all around...
the focus is elsewhere. The focus is on
sustainability.
The topics that you mentioned. Sustainability.
Yeah. Actually, it's around, and I don't know whether students in Poland know a lot about it, but it's around the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So if you are interested in one or more of these topics, then I think this is a great program for you. It is an honors program, so a little bit more challenging than our international business program. But it's great. It's unique. But you must be interested in those topics. Otherwise, it doesn't work. By the way, sustainability is not only included in this program. In all the programs at our university, there is a sustainability part included. Because, I
feel in the Netherlands, there's just sustainability and environmental awareness is included in life in the Netherlands, as we mentioned with the bicycles and a lot of other things.
Yes, maybe that's true, but it could be a little bit more,
Sure.
so to say. And, in the future, things are changing. Climate is changing. The world is changing. So we want to prepare the students for the future. And therefore, we think sustainability is an important part of their education. So it is included in all our programs. So also in the international business program. But the global project and change management program is 100% sustainability.
No, it's fantastic. I think this is exactly an example of a program where you can combine theory with practice, because the topics that you mentioned, right? Climate change, eradicating poverty, equality, etc., these are topics which are discussed on the news every day. I mean, it's very difficult for me to, watch the evening news and not come across a bit on climate change or a bit on poverty or a bit on inequality, etc. So I feel the students will hear about it on the news, and then they come the next morning into the classroom and they will discuss exactly what they just heard on the news, which makes the program very recent and very applicable, to daily life. It's also an interdisciplinary program, right? So it's a program which looks at the topics that you mentioned from different lenses, different perspectives. I have to say, I have a soft spot for interdisciplinary programs. I finished one myself, but I have a soft spot because I feel it's exactly what the labor market today requires. It requires graduates, alumni who don't just go forward, but they have the option to go right, left, forward, backwards, all sorts of directions. What can you tell us about the interdisciplinarity of it?
Well, flexibility. Flexibility is very important, and we teach the students how to do that. We learn them to think critical, to see problems from all kind of sides. Also, the Global Project and Change Management in particular has a minor which is called Value Creators. It's a bit difficult to explain because it's interdisciplinary, but it's a semester where students in a team have to think about a problem where they want to bring a solution, and not a big problem with a big solution, but it can be a big problem, but they have to think about how they can tackle the problem a little bit. So when it's about human rights, for example, or refugees, there's a big problem all over the world, and they zoom into a small part and they try to find a way as a group to bring a little bit of solution to that issue. So it's not big problems and big solution because you're not able to come with a big solution, but it's making small steps, tackling a problem from all sides and see what you can do.
It's a bit like, I will get very academic now. I do apologize to everyone, but I think it's important at this stage. It's a bit like the very concept of wicked problems, where wicked problems, it's a concept which is not new. I mean, it's been around since the 1970s, even earlier, later developed by Brian Head, an Australian professor in 2008. He published a really interesting policy paper, or research paper, I should rather say. And basically, the very idea of wicked problems is that we should rather be looking for coping strategies rather than solutions, because the very idea of the wicked problem is that you cannot necessarily solve it or eradicate it, but we can learn how to cope with it and essentially minimize the negative effects of it.
That's exactly what this program is about. Exactly.
There you go. Well, I should have studied at Windesheim then.
I think you should have. Yeah.
All right. So we know what the programs are like. Now, what do we need to do in order to start studying these programs? So what can you tell us about application procedures? I know there's a system called Studielink, but the application doesn't actually happen in Studielink. It happens elsewhere. How does that system work? Because I can tell you it's very, and our viewers will confirm, it's very, very different to the way it's done in Poland.
Okay. When you want to study in the Netherlands at a public university, you have to apply via Studielink. That is a system through which you apply.
A pink system, I will add.
A pink system, pink and blue.
Pink and blue.
Pink and blue, yeah. And actually, then you have just to follow the steps, because you apply for one program, or maybe 2 or 3 if you want, and then you're in the system, and then you receive follow-up emails from the university where you applied for. So if you apply for one of our programs, you receive an email from us saying what the next steps are, and then we ask you for maybe some documents, or we say, well, we see you're studying now this high school. We also want you to send us a language proficiency test. And then if you do that, you will be automatically accepted. That is the case maybe for the majority of the programs in the Netherlands. You apply. At a certain moment, you send your diploma, your language proficiency test, and you will receive an acceptance letter that you will be accepted once you send the documents. There are some exceptions. There are numerous fixes programs, so programs where they accept only a limited number of students. There are some programs where they have a selection procedure.
Psychology, for example. Psychology, some engineering programs, biology.
Have that, yeah. And so also our honors program, Global Project and Change Management, is also an exception because it's an honors program. And when you apply for that, you receive an email from us that we have a selection procedure. I would say it's really doable. Just follow the steps. We ask you to write an essay, to send to recommendation forms, and then you will be invited for an interview because we want to know who you are and if there is a good fit between you and the program. You will also do a group assignment online. And then usually I would say the majority of the students will be accepted. So it's really doable. Don't be afraid of that, but start with applying via study link and then follow up emails from the university. Come and just follow the instructions.
And I would say, if I can add a word of advice, make sure you do this as early as possible. StudyLink and the application system usually opens up on the 1st of October when you are in your final year of high school. So that will be czwarta klasa liceum. And that is the best time to start the application process. The earlier you apply, usually the quicker you get the response, which means the quicker you can look at accommodation. We will touch upon accommodation. It's a soft topic. It's a hot topic in the Netherlands, but we have to touch upon it. You mentioned interview, and I always say to students who come to EduCat and ask for advice, anytime they hear interview, they all start getting a little bit scared, getting a little bit worried. And I say to them, it's not like a job interview. You will not be tested on, knowledge or your mathematical skills or your physics skills. It's a conversation, essentially, where the university would like to get to know you, but you as a student have the opportunity to get to know the university better as well.
Exactly, because we actually only want to have students who can be successful. And if you don't prepare yourself very well, if you don't know exactly what you're going to study, you might be disappointed after a few months.
Exactly.
So we just want to be sure that this is a good match.
It's a match. Yeah.
Exactly.
Where is Windesheim University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands?
Yes. Oh, we're based in Zwolle. Zwolle is a smaller city or medium-sized city. It is 1 hour by train from Amsterdam, from the airport. So there's a very good connection for students if they want to go home for a summer break or Christmas break. It is, I would say, a beautiful city, historical city. It has the typical Dutch architecture, typical Dutch canals also.
Typical Dutch weather as well? Or
typical Dutch weather as well. So, yes, but also the typical Dutch biking lanes.
Yeah. And mind you, typical Dutch summer weather is beautiful. I mean, Dutch summers are absolutely gorgeous.
It's not as hot as in Poland.
It's not as hot as in Poland and, blue skies. So it's not all rain and gloom like people think.
No. It only rains, 5% of the time.
Yeah.
I heard someone somewhere in the past, but yeah, it rains every now and then. But come on,
where does it not rain?
Exactly, it has to rain because otherwise it would not be as green as it is. Yeah. So Zwolle, it's a smaller city, but it has everything for students. It has bars, it has cafes. The parks are very popular for picnics. There are music halls, cafes, restaurants. I already mentioned them. There is one specific student cafe, very popular among students in the city center. So yes, and
everyone will find something for themselves. Whether you're more of a bar person or you're more of a park person, or whether you're more of a sports person, someone will always have something to do.
Exactly, and if you want to go to Amsterdam to party, it's only an hour by train, So, but the nice thing about Zwolle is it is not as expensive as Amsterdam.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So we need to live somewhere when we are studying, and we did promise this. So let's get to the question that no representative of Dutch University ever wants to be asked. What is the issue? What is the issue? What is the case with accommodation in the Netherlands? We have heard it in the Polish media. Mass media were reporting several issues with it. Is it really that bad as it is reported around the world? If yes, what is being done to resolve that problem? If not, how does the situation actually look like?
It depends on where you want to study. If you want to study in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, yes, it is really very bad for international students to find accommodation. In the Netherlands, we have a housing crisis. Also, for our kids, it's very difficult to find accommodation. And if you're from abroad, it's of course even more difficult. So in some cities, it is a huge challenge to find something. But a lot of universities do offer help. Also, in Zwolle, there is student accommodation for international students. If you are going to study global project and change management, which is a community-based program, then all students live together in the same student residence in the city center. It's a great location, I would say.
And perfect to get to know each other. People
Exactly.
will come from all over the world. People are all on the same boat. So if they live with each other, sort of forced to interact with one another.
Exactly. You immediately have friends for life, is what the students tell me. So for that program, it is guaranteed. After year one, you have to move out, but then you are already in the city. You know what to do, where to go. You have a huge network to help you. So then it's usually not a problem to find some accommodation. If you're going to study international business at our university, that is not a community-based program, but we help the students a lot so they can find something themselves, or we help them. And what we see is that the situation is improving. More student accommodation is becoming available. And in the past 2 years, all students found accommodation. So in Zwolle, I would say it is easier. There are more cities in the Netherlands outside the western part, outside the so-called Randstad, where it is easier to find something. But please, if you go to another university, check the university's website. Usually there you will find the information about accommodation and how easy or difficult it is to find something. And yes, if you want to study in Amsterdam, I would say no way that you find something on your own.
Yeah. And I guess the biggest advice we can give to everyone is start as early as possible. If you start looking for accommodation in June or July, or God forbid August, absolutely no chance. If you start looking a bit earlier, with the help of, for example, us as EduCat or the university itself, there's a very high chance you'll be able to find a nice room in a nice place. What we do at EduCat is every student who applies with EduCat towards the end of February is actually issued with around a 70-page book, I should by now be calling it, on finding accommodation in the Netherlands. So we provide them with all the information that's possible, with pages on specific universities, with information on legal elements in the Netherlands, how it all works, because maybe it's worth mentioning, every student who is in the Netherlands longer than 6 months has to get a Dutch BSN number. Can you tell us very briefly what that is and why it's important to have it?
Yeah, well, actually, you cannot live without it. It's a social security number, which you need when you want to have a job, when you want to have a bank account for all kind of things. You need that number. So it's an administrative thing, but yes, you need it.
You need it, and if I remember correctly, I'm not sure if anything's changed, but when I was acquiring the number, it was fairly simple. We had a very quick appointment in the municipality office. They had to have our rental agreement and our ID card, but very, very simple process. I have to say, Dutch government, Dutch bureaucracy is very efficient. From the perspective of someone who was an international student, I have to say it was very efficient, very effective. So really, really good. And all done digitally later on, because when you get the number, you can do all your taxes, all your health insurances, all your applications for student loans and supplements. Everything is done fully online. Everything is digitized. Similar to Poland, I should say, but really, really good. So just to wrap up, what advice would you give to a student who is considering studying in the Netherlands, considering studying at Windesheim, but perhaps they haven't made their mind up yet? They're still thinking about whether it's a good idea to study abroad in general. What sort of advice would you give to them and their parents?
Okay, I would say try to gather all the information that is available. Check the website, ask for brochures, but also follow webinars, online sessions. If possible,
watch this podcast episode.
Exactly. Talk to students, ask for advice. Try to, maybe you find someone in your area who studies abroad, but also most of the universities have student assistants or students which are willing to talk with you. For example, on our website, you can find the contact details of a few students who are willing to speak with students from abroad who are interested in studying at our university. So try to find as much information, follow webinars, ask questions.
Be proactive.
Exactly.
Be
proactive because the more information that you have, that's also, we do every now and then research which students are successful and which students are less successful. And what we see that when students prepare themselves well via asking for a brochure, visiting open days, those students who prepared well are more successful in their studies.
For sure.
So,
Tym kończymy dzisiejszy odcinek dotyczący studiów w Holandii. Dziękujemy, że byliście z nami. Jeżeli zastanawiacie się nad studiami za granicą, gorąco zachęcam do kontaktu z EduCat, educat.study. Możecie się skontaktować bezpośrednio ze mną lub z koleżanką i kolegą z zespołu. Pomożemy Wam wybrać odpowiednią uczelnię, wybrać odpowiedni kierunek względem Waszych możliwości, predyspozycji i zainteresowań. Przede wszystkim przeprowadzimy Was przez cały proces aplikacyjny od początku do końca. Także tutaj możecie mieć absolutną pewność zadbania o waszą aplikację. Erna, it was really good to have you. I'm not sure how much you understood from my little Polish
Not
ending,
at all.
But thank you very much for joining us and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dziękujemy bardzo.